The RCMP has told Mounties they are no longer to wear an image that's used to show solidarity with police and their families. It's a black and white Canadian flag with a thin blue line, but it's not an official symbol of the RCMP. As Catherine Urquhart explains, it comes as police organizations are examining their relationships with minority communities.
They're known around the world for their red serge dress uniform. Members of the RCMP are strictly guided by a uniform and dress manual. Their appearances are now the focus of a controversial internal memo about members wearing a thin blue line.
My reaction was one of surprise and concern.
On Friday, Mounties across the country received a directive saying in part, the subdued flag with a blue bar has become widespread in North America as a sign of solidarity and support for police. While this may be common, it is not an approved symbol and is not to be worn on our uniform. Growing scrutiny of the police and calls for reforms are also referenced in the edict, which states, "We have been a focal point in difficult public conversations about the role of police in our society." Within policing communities across North America, the thin blue line has long been a symbol of support for one another.
It really depicts the line that police officers walk every day, keeping society free from chaos.
But critics say the symbol ignores the larger issue of police violence against racialized communities and promotes an us versus them mentality.
It has a much and I'm going to use this word deliberately, much darker side that is very much associated with being anti-Black Lives Matter, being, pro-racial profiling.
Regardless of criticism and the RCMP directive, many officers are vowing to continue wearing the thin blue line.
We've also commissioned some custom blue line patches, and we'll be sending them out to all of our members across Canada.
Members who don't adhere could face code of conduct reprimands. RCMP management perhaps forced to choose between supporting the rank and file and pressure to make changes to the face of policing in Canada. Catherine Urquhart, Global News, Vancouver.
When a British Columbia adoption agency suddenly closed last year, potential parents who'd spent thousands of dollars in hopes of building their families were left in limbo. At the time, Choices Adoption said it was because of a drop in international adoptions, the main source of its funding. But Global News has uncovered documents that show the agency had been in trouble for years. Robin Gill reports.
What he's thinking, yeah.
Patricia and Aaron Pearson know how lucky they are to have a daughter. Her art is everywhere in the house. But it wasn't easy to conceive. So when they decided to grow their family, they turned to adoption.
You go into adoption knowing there are no guarantees and knowing that it's going to be a roller coaster. But I think our journey has had more ups and downs and the journey of other people in our situation than would normally be expected.
They had no qualms paying $12,000 to an agency called Choices, but the adoption they so desperately wanted never happened.
If we paid for a couch and we didn't get our couch, there would be a recourse. We would be able to sue someone or do something. We've now paid essentially to bring a child into our family, and there's no recourse. I can't go to anyone and say, where's my $12,000? What do I get for that? What are you going to do for me?
For 30 years, Choices was a reputable, not-for-profit organization. There was never an audit, but Global News has obtained one accounting firm's review which found Choices was running a $107,000 deficit in 2018. Because of those financial problems, the board decided to close the agency in April 2019. Then a new board came in to try to save it. But they soon realized the money problems were far worse than they were led to believe. Choices closed for good in October of that same year. Up to 90 families were left in the lurch, and the agency was still taking money, even though a document showed the board was adamant Choices not take on any new clients months before they closed.
We knew that there was people that were registering with Choices within the 2 weeks prior to them closing.
The minutes from board meetings show Robin Pike, who ran the agency for 7 years, insisted all along the agency was viable. We tried 3 times to contact Robin Pike, who ran the agency for 7 years.
Hi, this is Robin Pike. Please leave me a message.
She never returned our calls.
It's the Sandown lease.
Now the Pearsons have to start the difficult process all over again.
What do you think was worse, the emotional investment or the financial investment?
Emotional.
100%.
Yeah.
Despite the emotional toll, they're not ruling out adoption and still want to welcome another child into their family. Robin Gill, Global News, Victoria.